Okay, so I'm going to put some timber columns into the space now, and I've got some reference planes set up where I thought the columns go, but I've been reminded now that the columns on the upper level are offset, and we'll look at them separately. So I'm just going to place them in on the ground floor to begin with. And it's fairly easy to place columns. On the Architecture tab, you'll see there's a column tool, and there are two different options for columns. The one you should be using most of the time is structural column. They're better than, well, architectural columns are useful, but not in this case. So here's structural column. And then, most of the time, you won't have the column loaded that you need. So it will start, most likely, just with this UC. UC means universal column. And so that's your eye profile that you've probably seen with lots of steel all over the place. So we don't want that, we want timber. And so you need to go to Load Family, that you'll see up on the ribbon. And then it's not the columns folder, but the structural columns folder, where you'll find the ones you need. So you've got to remember, if you're making structural columns, you need to go to the structural columns folder, and you'll see then there's a wood folder, and we can then simply choose the last one there, timber column. Double click there, and it's going to give me a whole list of preset sizes, and some of these are pretty close to what we want. Have you been given a size for the post yet? No? Yeah, if you've got the measurement there. I'd be assuming something like 100 by 100.
Section is 300.
300. Gee, that's big for timber in a building like this.
Sorry, 200.
200.
Yeah.
That's still pretty decent. Well, we can change it if we need to, so I'll do it 200. That's all right. So I just wanted to show you how to set the size. They look like, the ones I saw but by eye looked like they were about 100 before, but could be wrong.
But remember the scale.
200? Yep, okay. Yep. Okay, so I'll do them 200, and you can make them smaller. If you have a look in the space and realise that even in the drawing, if they're shown larger, they might actually be smaller in real life. You can easily change the size later. So I'll just choose any size. When you get given a list of sizes, you just need to choose one. Doesn't matter what you choose. Click OK. And then you can go to Edit Type, Duplicate, and put in your own size. So I'm going to say 150 is still a fairly decent post for timber. That's, for a building like this, easily going to be enough structurally, so I'll go with that size, and we can again change them if we need to. So I'll click OK. That's the new name, but I still need to change these two values to actually put in that size. So 150 for B and D, breadth and depth, that's all that means. And then again OK. And so then that's all pretty straightforward. You'll often be naturally thinking about setting the size and hopefully used to going to Edit Type to do that. But then the depth here is something you always need to change, and people often forget this. So when you first place a column in Revit, it probably will be set to depth, and you should set that to height instead. And then also choose the level you want it to go to. So if this was a modern building, you might take it through to a higher level, but because it's an old building, and we know the post finishes at the top of this level, we can just choose level 1. This is the next floor level. And because I have the reference planes already there, I can just go along now and snap to the intersection of those reference planes. And it should do a pretty good job of lining them up. And so then I'll press escape to finish. And as I was saying before, what I really wanted to show you is how to assign materials to these. So posts or columns work a bit differently to things like walls. If you select one, when you go to edit type, you probably won't find much to do with materials. So I'll cancel this. It's actually in properties. And because it's going to be hard to see in a floor plan, I'm going to go into my section view. Just going to move it over a little bit. So in my section view, I'll be able to see that. There's a bit of a funny thing though with columns. Because they're set up mainly for engineers, they have them showing as a line. Because they just want to see the span. They don't really care about seeing a pretty picture of the column. Engineers, they just want their calculations. And so there's a trick in Revit to show the column, go to either medium or fine in your detail level. And there you can see the posts come up. It's just one of those funny Revit things. So medium or fine there. We'll show you the column or the post. Now I can select it. And like I said before, in properties, you will find the material. So there it is, wood dimensional lumber. So it's actually easier than a wall or a floor. I can hit browse there. And I'll go and find a different wood material, wood pine. And you don't always need to make your own materials. If you're happy with the one that's there, you can always use it. You can leave a lot of these settings. You can change some if you need to, so I can change the appearance here by replacing the way you have been earlier and finding another wood material. So I'll just choose something here that's a little bit different. English oak might be a good one. Okay, and well, so I'll go to realistic so you can see. Okay, so this timber, this post has changed, but notice that the others haven't. And that's because when you change something in properties over here, you're changing just that object. Edit type is changing all of the different instances of that type. So you've got a wall type that is sandstone 450mm wall, and every wall that is that type will get changed when you go to edit type. But with the column, because we're changing it in properties, only the one that's selected will change. So that simply means I need to select each column. I can use Control to do that and change the material for each one. And it doesn't take long to simply choose the same name I did for the other one. So just to follow that through with families, I've got here an extrusion that I made earlier, and actually that's a better one. So here, this is just a very simple family that I made using model in place, and so they're just some extrusions that I made drawing rectangles on the ground. And so to change the material of those, it's again actually easier than walls and floors. When you select them, again, if you go to edit type, nothing about materials there. When you look in properties, again, there's nothing about materials there. So what you need to do is simply go to edit in place and then choose the original solids that you've made. And it's logical once you think about it, because if I select this extrusion, I can set a material to it. Then I'll just choose something fairly random. This one, yellow one. This extrusion can have a different material now. So again, I'll just choose a fairly random material just so you can see it's different. What'll we do? Carpet, that'll do. Okay, so that way you can have a family where the different parts of it can have different materials. So again, the trick is, with things you've made using your own extrusions or other solids, make sure you select it, then go to Edit and Place, and then select one of the solids, and that's when you'll then see the material come up in Properties. Okay, so I just want to get you started with that. We'll definitely go further into that over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's the basic process. So I'll finish that there, and hopefully that gives you at least a reasonable idea how to assign your own materials.